Hi, I'm Daniel, and this is the story of how I accidentally ruined a relationship. I'm not a bad person, I swear. I don't usually meddle in other people's lives, let alone do something that could affect a couple. But sometimes, life has a cruel way of teaching us that excessive enthusiasm can be a dangerous weapon. It was a quiet, cool, starry night. The spring air drifted through the slightly open windows of the elegant restaurant where I found myself that evening. I had decided to celebrate my job promotion with a special dinner. The place was perfect, dim lighting, soft background music, and candlelit tables creating an intimate atmosphere. When I arrived, I asked for a table by the window to enjoy the view while waiting for my food. The menu was sophisticated, filled with gourmet dishes that looked like they belonged in a French cookbook. I chose a steak accompanied by truffle mashed potatoes and a glass of red wine that promised to be unforgettable. As I waited, I observed the other diners. At a nearby table, just across from mine, sat a young couple. The man wore a perfectly tailored suit, and the woman was dressed in an elegant black dress that highlighted her curves. They seemed to be in the middle of a serious but seemingly cordial conversation. Their body language suggested from the start that something important was about to happen. My mind wandered to possible romantic scenarios. Maybe he was about to propose. After all, this type of restaurant has always been the perfect setting for memorable moments like that. My heart started to race with anticipation, though I didn't understand why I was so excited about something that didn't even involve me. Then the inevitable happened. As I took a sip of my wine, I saw the man reach into his jacket and pull out a small black velvet box. He placed it carefully on the table, almost ceremoniously. My mind had already constructed the entire story. This was the moment. I was sure of it. However, before I could confirm my assumptions, my excitement got the best of me. Before he even opened the box, I blurted out without thinking, "She said yes." The entire room fell into absolute silence. The waiters stopped moving, conversations ceased, and everyone turned their heads toward me. For a moment, I thought I had been right and that the woman had accepted the proposal. I began clapping enthusiastically, unable to contain my excitement. Other diners quickly joined in, creating a festive atmosphere that starkly contrasted with the tense expressions on the couple's faces. But then, I noticed something strange. The woman didn't look happy. In fact, she looked deeply uncomfortable. Her cheeks were flushed, but not with joy, with embarrassment. She looked at the man with a mix of irritation and confusion, murmuring something I couldn't hear. He, on the other hand, seemed just as bewildered, trying to understand what had just happened. That's when I realized my mistake. There was no proposal. The box didn't contain a ring. Inside were a pair of delicately designed earrings, probably an expensive gift meant to be a romantic gesture. But my enthusiastic shout and the subsequent mass celebration had turned the act into something much bigger than it actually was. The couple exchanged a few quick, nervous words. The woman grabbed her purse abruptly and stood up. The man tried to stop her, but she rushed out of the restaurant without looking back. He followed shortly after, leaving the small velvet box forgotten on the table. I sat there, paralyzed by guilt and embarrassment. I had ruined their moment. Worse yet, I had turned something intimate and personal into a public spectacle that neither of them would ever want to remember. I tried to apologize to the waiters, explaining what had happened, but they just nodded understandingly and refrained from openly judging me. I finished my dinner in silence, feeling completely out of place. Every bite tasted bitter, and every sip of wine burned rather than soothed. As the following week went by, I couldn't get that couple out of my head. I wondered if they had managed to reconcile after what happened. However, any hope I had quickly faded weeks later when I stumbled upon a social media post that confirmed my worst fears. A mutual friend shared a photo of the same woman, now with someone else, along with a short caption, "New chapter, new adventures." Someone in the comments mentioned that she had broken up with her boyfriend shortly after that fateful night at the restaurant. I couldn't be sure if my actions were the direct cause of their breakup, but I couldn't shake the feeling of responsibility. Since then, I've learned a valuable lesson. Assuming is not always appropriate. Even when our intentions are good, acting impulsively can lead to unintended consequences. That night at the restaurant marked a turning point for me. I'm no longer the impulsive guy who shouts out at any situation I misinterpret. Now, I try to be more mindful and empathetic, especially when emotions are involved. And while I'll never know exactly what happened between that couple after that night, I can guarantee one thing. I will never forget the weight of my actions. Sometimes, the smallest mistakes can have far bigger consequences than we ever imagined.